I never dreamed that things would go so smoothly. Well done, everyone. Well done.
You have lost.
Because you underestimated humans.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another Netflix Devil May Cry video, but this time around, I'm going to be talking about a bit of a theory that I had, my breakdown that I actually wanted to talk about in its own fleshed out video, and talk about my own personal theory for the Devil May Cry Netflix animated series. Now, quick disclaimer, keep in mind that this is all a theory, none of this is actually confirmed until the actual series comes out, so keep that in mind. But I actually wanted to talk about my theory on if I believe the White Rabbit is actually Arkham, and also I wanted to talk about another theory that I have that I've been seeing a little bit around, and actually want to talk about what I personally think is going to happen when it comes to Arkham in the new Netflix Devil May Cry anime. So getting into the theory that I have, I actually believe the White Rabbit is Arkham, but that doesn't just come from what I said in the breakdown with his goals being very similar to Arkham's goals from Devil May Cry 3. Which is a terrible reason for why I think he is the White Rabbit, and I actually completely understand that. And I also understand that the White Rabbit doesn't have the dual eyes and other various things, and also that a lot of people would point out that, oh, but that's a dead giveaway. Of course that he's Arkham. If we've learned anything from Batman Arkham City, sometimes the world's greatest mysteries are right under our nose, and the biggest twist is yet to come. And that's something that we've known very well when it comes to the Devil May Cry series, especially when it comes to Arkham as the main villain. But also, a most obvious fact is Arkham is pretty much known for being able to shapeshift his form in the Devil May Cry series, especially in the prequel manga that they are taking a lot of inspiration from when it comes to this Netflix Devil May Cry Season 1. And in that prequel manga, he was actually hinted at to be the Mad Hatter in that story, with the different stuff when it comes to Alice, which isn't really a part of this Netflix Devil May Cry anime from what I've been able to see, and also a couple other things that happen that they are taking a lot of inspiration from. And I honestly feel that there's a lot of things that really point to the White Rabbit being Arkham in this series. Now, Arkham in the original manga that they're taking inspiration from shapeshifts himself into Mad Hatter, manipulate certain characters like Alice and stuff like that to get them where they need to be come Devil May Cry 3. And that's something that was pretty interesting, and Arkham is known for manipulating and shapeshifting into different characters to get what he wants. But that is a character that I haven't really seen in this Netflix series. But who have we seen? The White Rabbit, who was also in that series. Now, the White Rabbit in that series was a self-creation, probably by Arkham and also Alice, that was possessed by some type of creature, but eventually is killed by Virgil. But that version of the White Rabbit is more of a henchman and kind of like a demonic slave and stuff like that. And personally, this version of the White Rabbit that we're seeing in the Netflix series has a lot more of his own goals compared to the White Rabbit in the manga, which is a little bit different. But this version actually has a lot more in common with Arkham, with him trying to merge the amulets to get also the Force Edge and also to get a demonic army on Earth. But when it comes to Arkham, he has a worshipping of Sparta and stuff like that. We don't really get a sense of that in the trailer, but also Arkham is known for every one of his characters that he shapeshifts into having the same split of eyes. But when it comes to the White Rabbit, he does not have the multicolor eyes, and that is an interesting detail that a lot of people would point out to disprove this theory. But I also believe that it would make sense for him to try to cover that up. It's not too much of a stretch to say that he can't. He also has a lot of physical abilities, not just shown in the manga, but also with his brief interactions with Lady in Devil May Cry 3. He is very capable, and it is shown when he does access Force Edge that he is very capable when it comes to a sword. But like his daughter, he's never been shown to be able to use other weapons. The White Rabbit in the trailer actually uses a bazooka, which is a pretty interesting detail that he's very versatile with swords and other weapons compared to the Arkham that we know in the OG series. Now, for another character that I do believe that Arkham could be disguising himself as well as is also the mercenary leader. Now, this is a theory that I didn't come up with, but I have seen being floating around and kind of, I kind of agree with as well. As for why, it actually makes very strategical sense considering Arkham is very manipulative and he can attack Dante and his own daughter and get them where they need to be on two different fronts. As the mercenary commander, it would make logical sense for him to use the mercenaries to attack Dante, but also as the White Rabbit, he can get what he wants from Dante and also attack his daughter and get them both where they need to be near the end. Also, considering that we don't really see too much of the mercenary commander, outside the fact that he has like white hair, he looks like Joe Biden, and he also wears shades. Now, the only shot that we have of Arkham that we see in these trailers is the same exact shot. Him with white hair, but he's kind of going bald in a demonic form, pulling a little bit from his jester form from the original series. Now, this is pretty interesting because he has blood in his mouth, and also he has those two iconic eyes. Now, for a character like the Mercenary Commander to have shades to hide some of that is pretty interesting. And when it comes to the White Rabbit not having the split eyes as well, kind of shows because both characters are disguising that they are the same character. And the key note here is that version of Arkham actually has hair, but he loses it, which is a pretty interesting detail, all things considered. Because in the OG series, Arkham is bald. We don't know how, but he just is. And honestly, he does have the ability to shapeshift, so for him to have this form where he does have hair, but he's losing it, is an interesting detail, and that kind of makes me think that he is the mercenary commander who has white hair. And also, an interesting fact comes from the idea of Lady. Devil May Cry 3 Lady is pretty much dead set on killing her father for killing her mother, but this version of Lady is a cop, and she doesn't have that same anger from what we see in the trailers. Yes, she's dead set on saying that demons are meant on destruction and other various stuff, but that's also considering the fact that the White Rabbit does attack her and other various things that happen. And also, she is one of the many cops and mercenaries that are set to go attack Dante, who himself is a half-demon and stuff like that. So, all things considered, her goals are pretty much, following orders, compared to the lady from Devil May Cry 3. But in no way does Lady ever mention her mother throughout the entirety of this trailer, or anything that happens in this trailer. It's almost like the death of her mother hasn't really happened yet, and it's going to happen because Arkham will sacrifice her in the event of trying to become a demon and stuff like that. And basically, he could be manipulating her on two different fronts, basically as the White Rabbit, kind of shape-shifting himself somehow, and also as the mercenary commander, using his influence to kind of push his daughter to go after certain demons and other various stuff. And Arkham using multiple disguises isn't something original to the series, and I actually think that this makes logical sense for his character. But this is all just a theory, so make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think, whether I'm right, wrong, or maybe I'm onto something, or maybe you're just going to complain because maybe I'm right and this is going to be spoiler territory or something like that. Make sure to hit the bell icon to make sure you're notified when I upload, and also check out some of the other videos on the channel. Peace out, bye-bye.